Première session dans notre nouvelle série d'ateliers pour les étudiants diplômés. Alors, le but vraiment, c'est de passer peut-être 30 minutes à vous présenter de la matière, ensuite vous donner les opportunités pour poser des questions. On a Paul-André ici, je ne sais pas si tu veux... On a wave. OK. Alors, je ne sais pas si vous lui voyez, mais on veut... il va être disponible pour répondre à vos questions au niveau du processus pour la demande de financement. Et aussi, on a Pascal, je ne sais pas si... There she is, qui va pouvoir vous donner un peu d'informations sur le processus si jamais vous êtes accordé une bourse ou si vous avez des questions sur comment faire demande, etc. Elle peut vous parler un peu de ses expériences. So the goal today, like I was just saying, is to give you some information about funding. This is our first series in these lunchtime workshops, and the goal really is to just give you opportunities as grad students in the Department of Communication to kind of come to one place every month, get some information that's relevant to you, and also potentially learn something. So the session today will be in both languages. You'll see that the slides are in both. If you notice any mistakes in the French, just let me know and I'll fix it for future reference, but I just wasn't going to stress out about it too much. But anyway, so feel free to kind of ask questions throughout. The way we're going to do this is we're actually going to record the session. So if I'm not sure, it's being recorded off Jennifer's computer. So if you don't want your face to be in the recording in any way, I'm pretty sure it'll only keep speaker view when it is recording. But if you don't want to be recorded, just make sure you turn off your camera. And we'll make this available through the CGSA website afterwards. And kind of the way we'll structure it is if you have questions kind of during the presentation parts, just type them and Jennifer is going to moderate the chat. And then afterwards, we're going to open the floor and you'll have the opportunity to talk to Pascal, kind of just open questions, as well as Paul-André to get a sense of kind of whatever you want. So that is the plan for now. So I'll just alternate a little bit on the first few slides here because they are in both languages, and then Paul-André will probably do the same thing, Pascal, the same thing. So if you don't speak English and French, just ask for clarification and we'll go from there. All right, are we good? Cool, here we go. OK, alors le plan aujourd'hui, je vais premièrement vous donner un petit aperçu du but aujourd'hui de la présentation. Aussi, vous donner comme un peu une idée de quelques autres ateliers qu'on a planifiés cette année. Ensuite, Paul-André va vous parler des opportunités de financement interne et externe disponibles ici à l'Université d'Ottawa. Ensuite, on va parler avec Pascal, qui a eu beaucoup de succès cette année dans ses demandes de bourse. Alors, elle va vous parler un peu de son processus, qu'est-ce qu'elle a appris, etc. Ensuite, on va vous donner des stratégies pour préparer vos demandes. Et finalement, on va vous présenter avec deux ressources. Un, ça va être les informations pour contacter Paul-André si vous avez des questions. Et aussi, vous parler un peu plus du workshop qu'on a planifié les vendredis matins pour vous aider avec vos demandes de bourse cet automne. Alors, c'est ça le plan. Alors, comme je viens de mentionner, le but vraiment de ces ateliers, c'est de vous donner des chances de connecter avec les autres étudiants, soit dans votre cohorte ou dans le programme. On veut vous apprendre quelque chose de nouveau et finalement vous aider vraiment dans le succès de votre programme. Alors, aujourd'hui, the target audience, it's directed a little bit more towards current MA thesis students and PhD students. So if you are in the MCOM program, a lot of these scholarships won't necessarily be available to you because you have to be registered in a thesis program. However, if you think you might eventually want to do a thesis, PhD or a master's with a thesis, this will become very relevant to you at that point. So it's good knowledge to have kind of about the funding process. But in terms of the other workshops we have planned, we're going to be looking at kind of jobs in communication, time management, kind of tips for writing your CV, networking, etc. And those types of workshops that we're going to be running during the rest of the year will be more targeted maybe to the MCOM versus the MA, PhD. So we're trying to be inclusive. It just so happens that the timing of grants needed this one to be first. So this one is just a little bit targeted towards students who are doing a thesis, but I think that there's some really pertinent information for everyone. So, on that note, je vais passer la parole à Paul-André qui va vous parler des opportunités de financement qu'on a ici à l'Université d'Ottawa. So.
Parfait. Est-ce que tout le monde m'entend? Oui, parfait.
Oui, oui.
Bien, premièrement, j'aimerais remercier les organisateurs pour l'invitation à cette session. Mon nom est Paul-André David. Pour ceux qui ne me connaissent pas, je travaille au Bureau des études supérieures à la Faculté des arts. On est votre point de contact principal pour tout ce qui est lié aux études supérieures, que ce soit le financement ou les admissions ou l'inscription ou la graduation, etc. Donc, mon rôle, c'est vraiment de vous appuyer dans ces démarches-là tout au long de vos études, que ce soit des demandes internes ou externes pour les bourses. Donc, je pense qu'on commence par le financement interne. Voilà. C'est ça. C'est un peu ce qu'on va vous parler aujourd'hui, le financement interne et le financement externe. Vous allez voir qu'il y a beaucoup de types de financement qui est disponible pour les étudiants, soit qui commencent une maîtrise ou qui sont dans la deuxième année de maîtrise ou qui commencent un doctorat ou qui sont plus avancés dans un doctorat. Donc, on va parler de ces éléments-là aujourd'hui. So let's start with admission scholarships. Well, you're already in the program, so you already probably have either an admission scholarship or maybe you don't. If you're thinking about doing a PhD, those are given automatically to students with an A- average. So at the master's level, if you came in with an A- average and you're full-time and you're a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, then you were given an admission scholarship, which is basically $17,500 per year. For the MA major research paper, it's for 1 year. For the thesis option, is for 2 years. Part of those funds are given out in cash. So you get $2,500 in your account to help reduce the costs of tuition fees. And the other portion is basically TA opportunities that you're given by your department. So you get 2 TAs per year, which is equivalent to about $10,000 of TA contracts. So that's a little bit how it works at the master's level. For the PhD, the amounts are just a little bit higher that are put in your account to reduce your tuition fees. It's $9,000 a year. And then you get the 2 TA contracts as well. So those are done automatically for students, again, who are Canadian citizens, permanent residents, who come in as a full-time student and who have the A- average. The only requirements, at the undergrad, you have to maintain an average. At the grad level, we don't have an average. We don't calculate an average. So you just have to maintain your full-time status. So that's a little bit about the admission scholarships.
Sorry. Paul-André, did you want to mention that there's some changes coming that might include more opportunities for international students next year?
For sure, that's a good point. The university right now is working on a reform of all of the scholarships that the university is offering, in all the internal scholarships. So there are some changes coming to the admission scholarships, to the doctoral scholarships, to basically pretty much every scholarship that the university offers. There may or will be some changes to those. So those haven't been announced yet. They're still working out the fine details, but it could change, I guess, what you may get in the future. For those who have scholarships right now, that won't change. Like the conditions that you were given for that particular scholarship won't change. It's only new candidates who get scholarships in the future. There may be some retroactive things, but again, that'll be announced, I guess, very shortly. There's also, so in terms of internal scholarships, there's also research and travel grants. That's run by the Faculty of Arts. So if you're a first author on a paper, you can basically receive money to go and present your research at a conference, well, anywhere in the world. And that goes from $700 and up to $750 at the master's level and up to $1,000 at the PhD. There's also research travel grants, give up to about $650, I believe, to go and do some research at another university. So there's some specific deadlines for those. You have to apply through, I believe it's the Vice Dean's office that runs that program. And there's some specific deadlines to qualify. So I'd encourage you to go and have a look at the, it's under the Faculty of Arts under research, if you're interested in those research or travel grants. I guess that covers the first few. Oh yes, the online scholarships. So the other scholarships that the university has, they're all found under one website. It's called the online scholarships, I believe, bursary portal. Yeah, scholarships at uottawa.ca. That's the one. So the scholarships are run mostly by the Financial Aid and Awards Office. And at that site, you'll find everything from departmental scholarships to financial aid, cultural related, sports related. It's amazing how many scholarships are listed there. My daughter's starting university this year, and we were able to find half a dozen scholarships that she could apply to. And she's a first year undergrad. So I challenge you to have a look at those scholarships on that website. Usually current students would go find those through their UOZone portal, and that's how you apply for them. So definitely go and have a look at those. Some departmental scholarships, I think we'll talk about that a little bit later in one of the slides, but the money sits there in the accounts, and because no one applies for these scholarships. So I like to call these like the unknown scholarships, the scholarships people don't know about. They're there and people aren't applying for them. So definitely go and have a look. Apply for as many as you can. You never know. So those are a lot of the internal scholarships that the university offers are there. Okay. Yes. So these are some of the scholarships that are created through the department. So often it's a current professor, an alumni. They give money to the university, and there's a fund created and a scholarship created for that. And so these are some of the scholarships that the Department of Communication offers to its students. And again, people aren't applying for them, so the money just sits there. So I encourage you, apply as much as you can for these things. We need candidates for these scholarships. Often the person who is giving the funds to the university says, "What's going on? How come you're not giving me my money away?" So, so that we encourage you to apply for these.
And just to jump in, l'année passée, on n'a eu aucune demande pour le Rogers Communication Scholarship. Alors, on n'en a pas donné. Alors, et ça, on a une version pour les étudiants en premier cycle et une version pour les cycles supérieurs, et on a eu 0 demande au cycle supérieur. So, money, guys.
Je me rappelle, dans un département, il y avait un étudiant qui était dans notre couloir. Puis on a dit, veux-tu appliquer pour une bourse? Puis parce qu'il y avait personne qui avait appliqué pour la bourse de ce département-là. Puis il a dit, ah, OK. Puis il a appliqué, puis il l'a eu parce qu'il n'y avait aucun candidat là, pour cette bourse-là. Donc, ça vous donne juste une idée que souvent on pense à ça ne vaut pas la peine, mais oui, ça vaut la peine.
Paul-Andre, Diane is asking if someone's received funding through one of those scholarships that are offered through the Department of Communications, if they can reapply again. So through the Rogers Fund or the Pierre Bélanger Fund, those kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, I'd like to say that when I'm asked that question, I prefer answering the safe way is have a look at the requirements of each scholarship, because each one is very different. So I don't think I can generalize an answer and say, yeah, you can only apply once or apply twice. You really have to look at the specific requirements for each scholarship to see if that's possible or not. So that's my politician answer to that question.
I know in our department, we have at least one grad one. I can't remember which one it is. It has like a media pitch to it. And that one you can definitely apply for every year if you wanted. And you could win it multiple times. I just can't remember which one it is. But so there are definitely ones that you could be the winner multiple times.
Yeah, some you can, some you can't. So definitely just have a look at the scholarship requirements, and it will usually say if you can or can't.
I have a question. Where would we find, for example, the Rogers Communication Scholarship? Because I received it in 2019 and I've been checking like all the websites in 2020 and I couldn't find anything. And then at some point I emailed our department and they said, well, nobody applied, you know, it's over. So.
Right. Yeah, these scholarships you apply through your UOZone portal. So they should be listed there. They're run by the Financial Aid and Awards Office. They usually activate the scholarship so that it shows as an active scholarship when you can apply for it.
I've been checking like all these months, like again and again and again.
Okay, I'm gonna bring that back to our grad committee and find out what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be a technical thing, so yeah. I'll write that down too and just.
Because that might be a reason why nobody is applying.
It's possible, yeah. So that's a good point. Thank you for letting us know.
That's a problem. If that's the case, that's a problem. That was just one example. There's tons of them that say one applies to, but if that one is actually a technical error, we will fix that.
The deadlines are often, donc les dates limites sont souvent le 31 octobre pour l'automne. So a lot of the deadlines for these internal scholarships is 31st of October, which is one of the key dates. So definitely have a look. For winter, I forget the key date, but I think it's in February. But for now, you still have time for a lot of these scholarships. External funding. This is where the big money is. Donc, c'est ça. Les bourses externes, ça vaut vraiment la peine de faire demande pour ces bourses-là. C'est l'argent qui va directement dans vos poches. On parle d'un montant qui varie de 15 000 $ et ça peut monter jusqu'à 50 000 $ dépendant de la bourse, là. Donc, c'est vraiment l'argent qui va dans vos poches qui vous permet d'être plus libre, en fait, de votre recherche sur vos études, d'avoir moins de stress financier. Oui, c'est du travail pour préparer ces demandes de bourse-là, mais ça en vaut le coup, c'est certain. Okay. So let's start by talking about OGS, the Ontario Graduate Scholarships. So this is one that was run by the province when I started at university. And for the last, I forget how many years, but they've asked the universities to run their own programs, to run their own scholarship programs. So basically, the deadline that we have for for our applications is always December 1st. It's completely online. And the amount is $15,000 per year, just for 1 year. So you have to apply each year for this scholarship. You have to have an average of A-, 8.0 on 10 to apply. And it's open to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, but there's also a side competition for international students. So everybody can apply for this program. Even MCOM students could apply for it, although it may be more of a challenge because you have to show a research component. So you'd have to sell your proposal in a certain way to show that courses are equivalent to research. So basically it's open to all categories of students. What else can I say about this scholarship? So it's completely online. You have to upload, or not upload, you have to send invitations to 2 referees to fill out a reference form for you. You have to upload your all of your university transcripts. You have to prepare I believe it's 750 word proposal for this. So there's certain elements that are, we'll see in a slide a little bit further, that are part of pretty much every scholarship application.
Right. There was a question about how the average is calculated for this.
Okay, that's a good question. For anyone who's in 3rd year or beyond of grad studies, we use just the grad courses. So all the grad courses you've done is your average. So that could be 1 course. So sometimes happens. For anyone who's going into 1st or 2nd year of grad studies, we use the last, each one of the last 2 years of full-time studies. When I say each one, is because you need, for example, an A- in 2019, 2020, and an A- in 2018, 2019. So the last 2 years of full-time studies, no matter how many courses you have.
And just to clarify, that's different than what the admissions average would have been for the master's, correct? Which was the last 30 credits.
It can be different than the admission average, because the admission average is the last 2 years of full-time studies for masters, and the last year of full-time studies for PhD. So it is calculated a little bit differently. And you know, we combine 2 years together at the admissions level. So you just need an overall of A-. Whereas for OGS, you need A- in each of the years. So it's a little bit different in the calculation. I'll give you just some quick stats here that I have for OGS from last year. We had 132 applications. 117 of those were Canadians and 16 were international. And we had 31 awards. We were able to nominate 2 students for the international OGS competition. And we actually went down our wait list up to 19 on the wait list, although we probably will continue to go down the wait list depending on who stays in the program and who drops out and that sort of thing. So, and who doesn't. Yeah, sometimes people will receive another award and will say, okay, well, I don't need OGS anymore. I'll take this more prestigious award. So that just gives you an idea of how many awards we have. 31 may not seem like a lot, but we actually made, you know, around 50 offers for that scholarship. Any questions on this one? So if there's a scholarship that I encourage people to apply for that you have a lot of good chances of getting, is this one for sure.
It's Diane. Yeah, I unmuted to ask this question. It wasn't clear to me last year. I'm wondering if you could explain what is the process that happens at the point of application? Because from what I understand, there is a vetting process at the level of the university, because sometimes some of these external awards have quotas.
Yep.
So, for example, in my case last year, my CGS application got forwarded. My OGS application did not. So from the university. So I'm just wondering how that works for people who haven't applied before, so they understand.
That's a good question. Thanks for that, for asking that. The OGS actually stays internally here at the faculty. You're evaluated and ranked by your department, and those results are sent to a faculty committee, professors from different fields who make the final decisions. So the final decisions stay at the university. Everybody's ranked, and then the faculty committee uses that information to make the final decisions.
So of the 132 applications, you said 50 were awarded?
31, well, 31 plus we went on the waiting list afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then, sorry, I have another question, and it applies to both the national scholarship and the provincial ones. What opportunities exist for students to get feedback on their applications? Because right now, all we get are, you know, we don't get any. So what's out there within the university so that, you know, you can go through your applications and see, okay, where might I have gone wrong? How could I have improved it?
Okay, yeah, good question. I just have to mention, though, that just to finish the last question, is for SSHRC, the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council at the master's level, that also stays here in its department and then faculty committee. For SSHRC at the doctoral level, it's department, faculty, and then national competition. So there's 3 levels for that particular one. So a lot of the scholarship decisions stay here. For feedback, yeah, we definitely can provide feedback, whether it's at the department level, because again, they rank the first time, and then also at the faculty level. We've given feedback to students in the past. It's harder for them when we're asked a little bit too late, because they don't remember the application. It's easier for departments because departments know their own students. So for the department committee to give feedback is easy. But when it comes to faculty committee decisions, they usually meet in January. And if we're asked for feedback in April, it becomes a little bit harder for them to remember the file.
And is there opportunity to maybe suggest, because I'm guessing that you communicate with people at SSHRC and OGS, is there opportunity as part of, you know, whatever network you belong to with other universities, to suggest that as part of the barking process, they return at least a comment that says, you know, your application could have been made stronger if, you know, so because otherwise, if it's not the ones that the university has marked, there's no way to get feedback from the committee that marked your information.
Yeah, I was told by PhD students that they got something, but I can't really confirm because I haven't seen anything. I don't know if there's anyone online here who has applied for SSHRC in the past who may have gotten some feedback directly from SSHRC.
I didn't. I just got a mark and I was told that it wasn't retained, so.
I have Diane, I have a collection of those rejection letters.
Oh, really?
They say a mark and then like your rank and then not funded. So okay. I just don't think they have the resources with the number they get to really do a deep
I
dive.
mean, they get files from every university in Canada.
Yeah.
So
But Diane, I think you're bringing up a good point, and we'll talk about feedback more in the workshop we're going to be trying to run. But I think there might be, at least at the internal review in our department, an opportunity to, I'll talk about it with the grad studies committee, to maybe share at least our ranking from within the department, or not the ranking maybe, but the feedback. I think there is an opportunity to utilize that, since the effort's already being done to review the applications, to maybe give something concrete from it. So I think that's a great suggestion.
yeah, and again, as I said, sometimes, like I said, because the results are known a little bit later for some competitions, and the faculty committee, you know, don't know you as well. But I have definitely seen in the past the faculty committee give good feedback to students who didn't get the award. Okay, donc pour sorry, one more thing for OGS. You don't have to live in Ontario to apply. Just wanted to mention that. Because you're a student at the University of Ottawa, you can apply. Thank you. Donc, pour les résidents du Québec, il y a des bourses. Il y a 3 fonds qui existent. Un fonds en santé, un fonds en génie et sciences et un fonds en société culture. Donc, ce sont des bourses qui sont similaires à BESSO au niveau de l'Ontario. Les montants sont similaires. Puis, il faut faire demande directement avec les fonds. Ce n'est pas une bourse qui passe à travers l'Université d'Ottawa. On est chanceux parce qu'on est sur la frontière. Donc, on est considéré pour ces bourses-là. Je ne pense pas que les gens de Toronto ont accès à ces bourses-là, mais nous, parce qu'on est sur la frontière, on est comme chanceux de pouvoir faire demande pour ces bourses. Donc, les dates, la seule chose avec ces bourses-là, les dates sont très tôt. Il faut vraiment commencer la préparation dès que possible. C'est le 7 octobre pour le niveau de l'EMA, puis le 14 pour le doctorat. Donc, je vous encourage, si vous êtes résident du Québec, il faut être citoyen canadien, résident permanent, là, mais de faire demande pour ces bourses-là.
Paul-André, quelqu'un demande if you're a resident of Quebec, can you apply for both the FRQ and the OGS?
Yes, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. And I can't say this with 100% certainty, but the rumor is that the ratios are better on this award than some of the national and Ontario one. So they fund a greater percentage of the applicants. So it's a bit easier to get, from what I understand. I don't know.
That may not be surprising because of the number of universities maybe in Quebec versus Ontario, perhaps, is one of the reasons. So yeah, definitely. But I hear a lot about students getting in. So the only thing is we don't know that much about well, the university gets the results for the who gets it, but it doesn't come through us. So we don't have as much control on who gets it and who doesn't. Shirk. Okay. So, donc, Shirk fait partie de 3 conseils. So, Shirk is part of the Tri-Council. Some students in some disciplines may be more interested to apply for NSERC, which is engineering and sciences. Some students who are in health would be more interested in CIHR, which is a health council. Most of our students apply for SHRC, the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council. But we have seen students whose research who focuses more on health apply for CIHR, are those who have a science link to apply for NSERC. But the deadline for at the master's level is the same for all three. It's December 1st. It's a similar application than the OGS. It's all online. You upload your documents, you do a research proposal, and you also create a CV, which is called the common CV, and you attach it to this application. The amounts are a little bit higher than OGS, 17,500. And just to give you some stats for this one, we had 17 awards to give last year for that, and we had 48 applications. So the odds are pretty good. And we went up to 11 on the wait list. So we actually made close to 30 30 offers for that particular scholarship. You have to, for this one, unfortunately, you have to be Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Unfortunately, international students cannot apply for this particular scholarship.
Paul Andre, a question that maybe applies to all of them for the FRQ, for OGS, and for SSHRC. Are the applications all open now, or will they be available soon?
That's a good question. From past experience, I know that OGS usually opened sometime in October in the past. For SSHRC, I went in there myself and I saw that I could start creating an application. So I think SSHRC is active right now. I'd encourage you, if you can start now, go for it. Because it takes a lot of time to prepare for these applications. But usually OGS is a little bit later. You can have a look. I don't know if it is or not. I'd have to go and see. But as soon as you can log in and start applying, go for it.
And then just a follow-up question for SSHRC. Is the application done through the university or is it external?
That's a good question. The way they formulate it on the website, it almost sounds like you have to apply through your university, which you do, but on their website. So the application is the same whether you're a student on your own, not linked to a specific university, or if you're a student of the University of Ottawa. There's a question in the application that says, well, actually, there's a link that says if you're registered in a university with a quota, and you all are if you're in the program here at the university. And there's another link, direct applications to SSHRC. Direct applications to SSHRC are only for students who, let's say, graduated 5 years ago and aren't linked to a university right now. So that's what they mean when they say you apply through your school or through SSHRC. They mean that basically, if you're not affiliated with the university, it's a different deadline, different application. Oh, well, same application probably. But if you're through your school, there's an internal deadline that we have at the university that is different than SSHRC's. I hope I explained that correctly. But the application is done through SSHRC in both instances. Right. So SSHRC at the doctoral level. It used to be a few years ago that you applied for this and you filled out a form, printed it out, ordered transcripts, and walked it over to our grad office at Desmarais. Now, last year was the first time they launched the completely online application. So you do not have to print anything and bring it over. You submit it online. There's two types of scholarships that are offered. There's the fellowships, which are $20,000 for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. And there's the Canada Graduate Scholarships, which is the more prestigious one. is $35,000 for 3 years. You don't have to choose which one you apply for. It's basically based on merit. So they choose the top ones for the CGS awards, and others get the fellowship. You can be up from 0 to 48 months by December 31st of this year to apply for this scholarship. When you go to the CGS website, it says you have to be in the first 2 years. Yes, but you can still apply and get the fellowship. So that may be a little bit confusing when you look at the eligibility requirements. Donc, cette date limite était au mois de novembre dans le passé. C'est maintenant au mois d'octobre. So it's an earlier deadline than it used to be. So definitely encourage you to start this application soon, because again, it does take some time to prepare, especially the research proposal.
Pascal vient de mentionner que la date limite est peut-être sur le site web du CRSH et le 17 et non le 19. So
Wait.
if that's the case, don't go with this. It's a typo. Go with the website.
No, that's for direct applications.
Oh, wait, is it?
Again,
oh, okay.
Again, we have our deadlines.
Okay.
They have their deadlines.
Okay, perfect.
Go with ours.
Okay, never mind. But don't go with this PowerPoint. Go with what's on the Faculty of Art grad website.
I'll have the disclaimer here. Anything we're saying here today, please make sure to check the websites for up-to-date information. They can change. You know, from year to year, there's a lot of changes. So definitely read. Well, we have some slides on tips. We'll be talking about that, but read all the instructions carefully.
Yeah. Et William, pour ta question au niveau d'éligibilité, quand ils considèrent comme la durée de la bourse qu'ils vont vous donner par la suite, c'est selon le nombre de mois que tu as déjà complété ton doctorat par décembre de l'année où tu as fait demande.
Oui.
Alors, dans ton cas, ça va être 1 an plus 4 mois. Alors, ça va être 16 mois complétés. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions about SHRC PhD, kind of specific? So this is a good one to apply to if you're in your last year of your master's, because you can apply kind of in year 0 before you start. So it's one that a lot of times you don't think about when you're kind of trying to decide what you want to do at the end of your master's. But if you know you want to do a PhD, then apply. You may as well give it a shot.
Hi, it's Diane again. I'm still not clear on what happens, like, because you apply through the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So if the university deadline is the 17th and the SHRC deadline is the 19th,
right,
that gives the university 2 days to go through things. So I think, how does it work? Because we never see anything other than, you know, applying through the portal.
Yeah, it's because that's a whole different competition. They have a deadline for non-affiliated students. So that's a whole competition on its own. We have our own competition internally, and that's the October 19th deadline.
Oh, okay. But we apply through the portal, and you see the applications through the portal?
Right, exactly. So all the University of Ottawa students who are interested in SHRC would apply by the 19th, and then it's evaluated first by your department and ranked, and then it goes to the faculty committee, and then we nominate for the national competition. Okay.
And you had shared some information about the numbers for the other competitions. Do you have numbers on how U Ottawa did last year in SHRC?
Yes, I do. We had 51 applications for this particular award last year. 31 were nominated. So more than half of the students who applied were nominated for the national competition. That was our quota. And we had, when it came back in April, we had 13 who received awards, 9 of which were the $35,000 awards. So
And
close to half.
Sorry to continue to ask, but are they primarily, like, how many of those would have been Faculty of Arts versus the rest of the university?
This is only Faculty of Arts.
Oh, so 13 in the Faculty of Arts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, this is only Faculty of Arts. So we nominated 31 and we got 13 awards.
Okay.
So almost half.
Thank you.
There was another question that came in, Paul-André. It's what if the proposed host university and the current program are different when applying for the Canadian grad doctoral scholarship as a second-year master's student? So if you're at Ottawa U for now, for example, and you're going to U of T next year.
Yeah, that's another good question. It's okay. We have had some of those applications in the past. Committees don't really see that negatively when they're ranking. They go with the criteria. So even if you say, well, no, I'm bringing it to U of T, you know, my award, it's fine. You're still ranked by your own university, even though you're bringing it somewhere else. That happens probably at U of T. There's a student who says, well, I want to go to Ottawa U for my PhD. So there's a sharing of candidates probably in terms of, you know, bringing the scholarship to different schools.
All right. Okay, I'm just going to move to the next slide. So this kind of summarizes a little bit all the pieces that you would have to submit when putting together your funding application. So comme Paul-André avait mentionné, il y a souvent une composante où il faut faire une proposition de recherche et cette partie-là peut prendre beaucoup de temps. And it's really important to make sure that you take the time to work on that because especially if, you know, all other things are equal, that will make the difference on your application being successful or not. You need reference letters. You need to get those transcripts, at least now, Paul-André, they don't need to be official anymore, right?
Good question. Maybe we can cover that at the slide with the pointers, but yeah, that is a good question because of the coronavirus and all that. They usually do have to be official, yeah. So we'll talk about maybe what the impact of Corona has on that.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, there's usually some sort of way that you have to put a version of your CV into the application. So for for master's SSHRC, you actually have to create a common CV, and that's a very lengthy process. Yep. And fill it all in, and then it gets attached to your dossier. Whereas for OGS and other ones, they might have specific documents you have to prepare that kind of outline your contributions or the different things you've done, and you have to attach that separately. So it's just, it kind of comes back to the point of make sure you read the specific instructions very thoroughly for whatever application you're putting together.
Can I just add maybe for the criteria for OGS, there's 3 things. There's academic achievements, which is transcripts, scholarships, awards, that sort of thing. There's research potential, obviously, you know, any publications you may have or your research plan, that sort of thing, conferences you've attended. And there's communication skills, which is, I guess, the way you've described your research, the overall quality of your presentation. So that's how it's broken down. There's more focus on research when it comes to PhD for OGS and less on the academic achievements. And for the master's, it's obviously more academic achievements than the research. So it's a little bit how it's broken down for OGS. For SSHRC at the doctoral level, it's 50-50. So it's 50% on your research and 50% on everything else. and for SHRC at the master's level. It's basically research excellence, research potential. No, sorry, academic excellence, research potential, and personal characteristics and interpersonal skills. So the top one is academic excellence, 50%. Research potential is 30%. Again, this is at the master's level. And personal characteristics and interpersonal skills is 20%. So just to give you an idea of. So committees, when they're ranking, they look at these categories.
So I guess just before we pass it off to Pascal, I know we're actually going it's taking a little longer than it's our first one, so we didn't know, and there's been lots of great questions. So I can definitely stay past one, so we're not going to kick you off in 5 minutes. And I definitely want to let you ask Pascal any questions you have about her experience. But just before we go to that, I did want Paul-André to shake his fist at all of us.
Yeah, communications is a big program. We don't get a lot of applications for some reason. Maybe because there's an MCOM program, which is more course-based. But yeah, we should be getting a whole lot more applications from, you guys are good. You should be getting more scholarships. So definitely we need to see more applications coming your way.
Okay. All right. So here's our success story, Pascal, who applied for the hat trick this year and was successful in all 3 that she applied for, which I only know one other person that's done that. So congratulations. Yeah, so do you want to talk about it? I don't know. We can kind of just open the floor here. On t'entend pas.
We can do it either way. To save time, do you just want to go with questions, or do you want me to say a few words?
Say a few words, then we'll go questions.
Okay. I'll be talking in French, sorry. Donc, je suis candidate au doctorat en 3e année. Je travaille sur un projet qui traite du discours politique libéral sur le féminisme. Et en fait, pour vous parler des bourses au doctorat, c'est vraiment un travail qui est très difficile. C'est absolument vrai parce que ça arrive à l'automne. L'automne, c'est souvent la session qui est la plus difficile. On a nos charges de cours ou d'assistanat. On a la rentrée. On a toute la paperasse administrative de la rentrée comme scolaire. Puis en plus de ça, on a la charge d'écrire toutes ces applications. Puis elles sont toutes comme en même temps. C'est pas tu travailles sur une puis une autre. C'est tout en même temps. Mais ça devient puis ça doit devenir une habitude, surtout si vous pensez aller comme un tenure track prof, parce que c'est toujours à l'automne. Donc, vous pensez que vous faites ça juste pour votre doctorat, mais si vous êtes prof, après ça, ça continue, ça n'arrête pas. Donc, c'est vraiment quelque chose que vous devez maîtriser, que vous devez être bon. Puis, tu sais, sur le CV, après ça, ça démontre que vous êtes capable d'écrire ces choses-là et de recevoir du financement, parce que les universités veulent des profs qui sont capables d'apporter du financement, parce que c'est aussi du prestige. Donc, ça va comme ensemble. C'est vraiment un tout. Il faut le voir comme, c'est pas, je fais pas juste ça pour le petit financement qui va m'aider durant mes études, c'est vraiment à long terme. Juste une seconde. Je suis en train de parler. Désolée. Donc, c'est vraiment quelque chose qu'il faut être capable de faire, puis ça prend de la pratique. Moi, je n'ai pas reçu les 3 bourses comme ça en faisant une petite application. Je suis quand même en 3e année de doctorat. Donc, ça m'a pris quelques essais avant d'y arriver, mais comme vous pouvez voir, un coup qu'on a le tour, ça va mieux. On commence à avoir plus de facilité, puis surtout, la première fois que vous allez appliquer, ce qui va arriver, c'est le gros stress du sujet. C'est quoi mon sujet? C'est quoi mes questions? Est-ce que c'est pertinent? Puis on pense beaucoup à ça quand en réalité, pour les bourses de doctorat, j'imagine de maîtrise aussi, ce qu'ils veulent savoir, c'est est-ce que vous êtes capable de faire de la recherche? Il faut juste démontrer qu'on a des aptitudes à la recherche. C'est beaucoup plus important, cette composante-là, en fait, que la composante du sujet, parce que vous n'êtes pas attaché à votre sujet en soi. Il faut rester comme un petit peu dans le général. Moi, je fais discours politique libéral sur le féminisme, mais c'est vraiment la méthodologie, ma recherche de littérature, tout ça qui vient vraiment étoffer la chose, qui est vraiment plus importante que la question de recherche, parce que ça va potentiellement, probablement changer au cours de votre de votre doctorat. Si ça peut être un autre conseil, c'est d'essayer de surmonter cette espèce de défi de « je dois avoir absolument mes questions de recherche ». Non. Concentrez-vous sur votre méthode. Comme moi, je suis spécialiste, on va dire, en analyse de discours, ben, je vais me concentrer là-dessus. Qu'est-ce qui m'intéresse là-dedans? Ça retire déjà une panoplie de questions que je ne pourrais pas répondre avec les méthodes que j'utilise et que je connais. C'est une méthode que je connais bien, donc c'est sûr que ça va m'aider à écrire une application qui est vraiment plus forte puisque c'est déjà quelque chose que je connais. Donc, concentrez-vous là-dessus. Puis, oubliez un petit peu la question de recherche pour l'instant parce que ça peut changer. Donc, stressez-vous pas avec ça. L'autre affaire aussi que je voulais dire, c'est essayer de trouver une personne avec qui vous allez pouvoir échanger vos dossiers. Vous êtes tous en compétition, c'est sûr et certain, mais on n'y arrive pas seul. Donc, tant mieux si votre collègue, vous l'avez aidé puis qu'il réussit, bien, ça va être à son tour après ça de vous aider pour réussir par après. Lui, il n'aura plus besoin de les faire, donc ça donnera plus de temps. Donc, essayez vraiment de vous trouver quelqu'un qui peut vous relire ou, puis que vous aussi vous relisez pour cette candidate-là ou cette personne-là. Donc, essayez de vous trouver quelqu'un avec qui le faire. Puis aussi, appuyez-vous sur vos superviseurs. C'est super important. Ils en écrivent à toutes les années, au moins 3-4 fois par année. Ils savent ce qu'ils font, ils savent ce que vous avez besoin de faire. Puis parfois, il faut un petit peu mordre du sachet puis se dire, OK, ben j'aime pas trop cette formulation-là ou j'aime pas trop la direction, mais ils savent exactement ce qu'ils font. C'est pas le moment de commencer à faire des gros débats intenses sur le positionnement de la chose. Ils savent exactement quoi faire. Puis des fois, il faut juste comme laisser tomber certains débats puis juste aller avec ce qu'ils disent. Puis ça vous permet aussi de bâtir, surtout en première année, ça vous permet de bâtir cette relation-là avec votre superviseur parce que là, vous avez... c'est pas la thèse qui semble un petit peu indéfinie dans le temps. Il y a une date limite. Il faut que ça arrive à cette date-là. Ça vous pousse à travailler sur votre projet de thèse. Puis ça vous pousse à avoir des réunions vraiment à toutes les semaines ou à toutes les 2 semaines avec votre superviseur, puis de bâtir cette relation-là. Donc, il y a vraiment plein de bénéfices à appliquer, puis c'est pas juste le financement. Moi, je regrette pas d'avoir essayé pendant 2 ans. Je me suis pas dit, ah ben c'est du travail qui sert à rien. Ma thèse, après ça, on voit que, même pour mon examen de compréhension, j'en avais déjà un bout d'écrit parce que j'avais appliqué à des bourses. Ma relation avec le superviseur, ça allait super bien parce qu'on avait déjà commencé à discuter certaines choses. Puis après ça, quand on reçoit la bourse, c'est extrêmement satisfaisant. Puis c'est pas juste l'argent que ça rattache, tout ça. C'est aussi que ça démontre que le travail que vous faites, c'est important. Ça vaut la peine. C'est une reconnaissance externe. C'est pas juste vos amis qui vous disent « Ah, c'est vraiment intéressant ». C'est vraiment un organisme externe à vous qui vous connaît pas puis qui dit « Oui, ça vaut la peine, continuez ». Puis on vous paye pour ça. C'est un gros chemin à faire au début. C'est effréné comme travail, mais après ça, ça paye pour des années, des mois, pour votre carrière au complet. Donc, je pense que c'est vraiment important de le faire, puis de se réessayer, puis de ne pas lâcher le morceau. Puis au fur et à mesure que les années avancent, vous avez plus d'expérience, puis les plus vieux comme nous, on quitte, donc vous avez plus de chances aussi d'y arriver. Donc, bonne chance à tout le monde. Puis s'il y a des questions, allez-y. Juste une seconde.
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions pour Pascal? Anyone have any questions?
Oui, moi j'aurais une question, Pascal.
Juste une seconde, je dis à ma fille qu'elle doit quitter pour l'école. Excusez, ça tombait juste au même moment que le départ.
D'abord, félicitations. Je ne sais pas si tu le remarques, mais on est tous épatés de ton succès.
Ah,
alors,
merci.
C'est beau, c'est super.
Merci.
Alors, je me demandais pourquoi, parce que tu as appliqué plus qu'une fois.
Oui.
Où penses-tu qu'il y a eu un changement cette année pour toi? Qu'est-ce qui a débloqué, qui a fait une grosse différence, non seulement dans comment toi tu te sentais en postulant, mais aussi dans le résultat?
Je pense qu'il y a peut-être 2-3 choses majeures. De un, avec mon superviseur, je me sentais beaucoup plus à l'aise d'aller le voir. Parfois, il faut pousser dans le dos, il n'y a pas le choix. Eux, parfois, ils doivent nous pousser dans le dos, puis nous, parfois, il faut leur pousser dans le dos. On a tous des... C'est que je me sentais plus à l'aise de discuter puis de dire, ben ça doit être fait ou j'ai besoin de telle chose ou telle chose. Puis ça faisait quand même 2 ans que j'écrivais style académique. C'était pas un style que j'écrivais avant. J'étais vraiment en marketing puis en communication. Donc, on commence à prendre le tour, on commence à savoir. J'ai une liste de phrases que je sais qu'il faut absolument que j'utilise. Ça me dérangeait de moins en moins de couper. Les académiciens, on aime ça comme parler de nos choses, puis en discuter en long et en large, puis en plus finir. Mais les bourses, là, je pense que c'est la FRQRC, c'est une page. C'est une thèse qui va être des centaines de pages, ça devient une page. Donc, on veut, c'est vraiment de couper. Puis après ça, c'est que j'ai vraiment compris à quel point la méthodologie avait, c'était vraiment la composante la plus importante. Puis une fois qu'on lâche prise sur le sujet, sur « Ah oui, mais je veux discuter à quel point ça ou ça, c'est important, puis ça touche, ça peut toucher ça ou ça. » Non, c'est quoi ta méthode? De où tu la prends? Pourquoi est-ce que ça va marcher? Démontre que tu es capable. Puis l'autre affaire aussi qui est très importante, c'est que les bourses attirent les bourses. C'est que dès que vous avez eu une bourse, même si c'est une petite bourse, même si c'est une petite bourse privée, 2-3 000 $, dès que vous avez déjà obtenu des bourses, ça démontre que vous êtes une candidate sérieuse. Ça démontre qu'il y a moins de risques à prendre à vous subventionner parce que c'est un risque pour ces organismes-là quand même de vous donner quand même entre 5 000 et 10 000 et 20 000 $. C'est énorme. C'est perdu si vous ne terminez pas, si vous ne faites pas votre recherche. Donc, les bourses attirent les bourses. Donc, ça aussi, ça devient de plus en plus facile. J'ai réussi à publier. C'était une chose, c'est un petit peu de tout. C'est l'environnement complet là, qui fait que ça devient de plus en plus facile.
Merci.
De rien.
Pascal, I had a similar question, and feel free to answer in French. I'll just ask it
yeah, sure.
in English. First, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're quite the success story in many ways. I was going to ask something very similar to Diane, which was what had changed, because for those of you that may not know, Pascal also had a publication in a major journal over the past year, and so I was wondering if you factored that into your application as well, if that was something that was different from some of your previous attempts.
So that was a change, but it was still under review. It was accepted under review. It wasn't published yet. But it probably had some, like every time you add a line to your CV, the chances are increased considerably. So there was that, I had the DIPLôMÉ scholarship as well. And I think just writing the application was, I already had a draft from the previous years that I just had to tweak. And I leaned a lot more on my friend Gabriella and on my supervisor, and I went to ask Kellyanne, I think her name is, from the grants office, and she helped me out a little bit as well. So I think all of that really helps. It's all these little pieces, they kind of come together at one point.
Thank you.
Okay. So since Pascal kind of already covered the tips section, and since we are short on time, I'm just going to skip it. But Jen is going to post the slides on the the website, so you can download them and look at them. But what this actually ties in together quite nicely is that I think kind of the take-home message here is that there's lots of little pieces involved in preparing an external funding application. It takes time. There's lots of tiny little tricks and things you should consider. You should get people to review it. There's resources available, there's strategy, there's all these things involved, which is why we are creating our first ever external funding grant writing workshop. So it's actually going to be on Friday mornings from 8:30 to 10. It's going to be I guess officially facilitated by me, but the purpose is to have it be like a working workshop. And we are going to set you up in groups where you can get peer review. So what this will be is your little working group, depending on your interests and language that you're submitting in, so that you can give that peer review feedback. But also as a part of participating in this workshop, we're also going to set you up with some faculty feedback, and then also have people come in each week to talk about kind of those strategic things, like how does the application get evaluated? Let's have a reviewer come in. Like, what is the first thing they look at when they read the proposal? Or, how can we make your application look stronger? Pascal just mentioned submitted papers. That makes a difference. So if you have something right now or a conference thing, something you can do in the next 3 months that could make a difference on your application come the OGS deadline or any of the other ones. So the timelines of this particular workshop line up with the December 1st grant submission deadline. So that's for the BIZO and the CRSH maîtrise. So if you want to apply to the Quebec scholarships or SSHRC PhD, this isn't really going to help you with that because it's due before. But we would still strongly encourage that you, if you're applying for funding, it means you probably have an OGS to submit. So we would hope that you can still join and benefit from that. And at least it'll like help kind of just get you in the mindset. So we ask if you are interested in this to register by this Friday at 5 p.m. That's just so we can figure out with the department what our needs are in terms of RAs to help run this, as well as what kind of peer review groups we can make. And so that I can figure out how many faculty I have to chase down to get feedback for you. And then the workshops are going to start September 25th at 8:30. So what we're hoping to do is give you an opportunity to kind of work on this progressively, take the time and the thought process it actually needs. It's not something you can do in a week and expect to get a good result. I think Pascal is evidence of that. You know, it takes a lot of planning, a lot of work, a lot of different iterations, and we want to support you in that. But ultimately, I guess my personal goal is that just more people from our department apply. I think Paul-André really touched on the fact that we're just not applying as much as we should compared to the other departments in our faculty. And I think we're better than that. We can do better.
Can I just add one thing? I just wanted to add one message that if I can leave you with today, in terms of, you know, someone who's been reading applications and seeing the mistakes and stuff like that. I know we skipped the tips part, but my number one tip would be, because the applications are now completely online, you don't have an opportunity to say, oh, okay, you made a mistake, go correct it. We used to be able to do that for you and say, oh, you forgot this, or you didn't do this. Now you're on your own, you're submitting it on your own. So it's super important to go and read all the requirements and instructions, because I don't want to sound negative, but when it used to be paper applications, we used to return more than, well, the majority of students back and say, go back home, you forgot this.
Yeah.
Or you made a mistake.
So I have a colleague when I was in my postdoc at McGill, she was a master's student in our lab, and she forgot to attach her transcripts to her SSHRC proposal. So she wasn't even considered. So she went through the whole thing and just like lost out. She'll never know what could have been.
So if there's a message that I want to leave is that, and if you're not sure on something, check with us. But yeah, just be careful, because, you know, we've disqualified a lot of students in the past for like little mistakes, and we don't want to see that. So
yeah. So this big long link here, it'll bring you to the registration form for this, but also an info sheet about exactly which Fridays we have sessions and kind of a little bit more info about that. So I really hope that you'll that you'll sign up and maybe encourage any of your friends or colleagues who aren't here right now. Because I think that this was something that I wish I had had as a grad student, especially because, similar to Pascal, it took me 3 tries to get SSHRC. A couple tries to get OGS, and it wasn't because I wasn't deserving, it's because my application was terrible. So, you know, having that feedback, getting that help is key, because this is a really weird kind of writing, and it's a really weird audience that you're putting it in front of, and it is ultimately a bit of a crapshoot. So I guess what we were hoping, Paul-André and I were both hoping to say from this, is the odds are better than the lottery. The skills that you will use to prepare this application are transferable to other things. And there is, you know, a chance that you could get money, and money, as Pascal said, brings more money. And, you know, there we go. So we'll be sharing the slides. You should have received the invitation for this workshop in your email. It was sent from Tiffany last week. So if you didn't get that, let me know. But if not, you'll be able to access this here. And then we also in the slides have Paul-André's contact info, as well as just some useful links for funding applications. But
Meredith, I shared the link for the survey for the sign up in the chat as well. And we can circulate that later when we send out the video and the slides also. So that's all there.
Yeah. So on espère que, we hope this was useful for you. you know, if you don't feel motivated and inspired to apply for external funding, do it anyway. And if you want some help and guidance in trying to make your application as good as possible, please sign up for the workshop.
May I add one more thing? So I would just add that as I'm a 5th year PhD student, if we've never met before, I have not applied for any of these funds. Sorry, Paul Andre, I am part of the problem for many reasons. And I wish that this workshop had been offered when I had first started the program. So thank you to Meredith for taking the leadership and for organizing this for students. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. And one of the reasons I mentioned the importance of applying is doctoral students get 4 years of admission funding if they qualify for an admission scholarship. And there is a scholarship for a 5th year of studies, but in order to have access to that scholarship, you need to receive external funding. So by missing out on applying and potentially receiving funding, you're also missing out on an additional scholarship opportunity that's available through the university. So if you needed any more incentive to take the workshop, apply for SURC, apply for OGS, FRQ, hopefully that 5th year of potential scholarship funding will be the nail in the coffin to motivate you to sign up.
All right. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, that's our first workshop. So next month, this will be targeted a little bit more to anyone who is planning on looking for a supervisor. And then after that, we'll be transitioning into kind of more some hard skills. We'll be looking at time management and resume writing for the last 2 for this winter, or sorry, until the winter. And then after Christmas, like I said, we'll be looking at having some jobs in communication, networking, etc. So hopefully you found this useful. We went a little bit over time, but now we know for next time what to plan. And thank you, Pascal and Paul-André, for coming today. So, oh, I didn't even know Dominic was there. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.